So I hope I hope you haven't come here today to hear me tell you how awakening erases all your pain, how awakening may level out the bump and grind of the human experience, or how awakening is a state of endless bliss or endless joy, or how awakening may give you some kind of supernatural power. I'm here to tell you that even though awakening untangles the tight knot of egoic identity, even though awakening unburdens you from the stories that may torment you, the stories of not being good enough, of being wounded, of having trauma, of feeling contracted. Even though it may unburden you from those stories and from the story maker. In other words, the one who believes itself to be somehow separate from life, and life is doing this to me, or has done this to me. Even though both the stories and the story maker are seen as fabrications of the imagination, even though awakening enables you to see clearly the unfathomable groundlessness of beingness that is the fabric of reality. I'm here to tell you that the grittiness of the human experience still continues. The devastation of loss, the challenge or the pull towards the personal discomfort zone, which is the edge of growth when we give ourselves to the world, when we follow an inner calling, the inner impulse. When we try and fail and have to get up again, when we're misunderstood, when we're not seen. All this continues after awakening. because it's in that human experience that something gets forged. It's in that human experience that the clear light of awakeness can be forged on that razor's edge. The razor's edge that calls us to be here, whatever our inner experience is. Whatever continues to arise, whether it's a storm or a rainbow, whatever is here calls us to simply be here, without hankering after the initial exhilarating state of liberation from the tight knot of egoic self. What changes is that the razor's edge calls us more sweetly, more urgently, so that mostly it is not a struggle. Mostly we do not have to apply effort to remain on that edge, at that edge, because it is sweeter than giving ourselves to any thought that this darkness or this difficulty or this feeling or this thought shouldn't be here. So once awakening has been realized or glimpsed or opened to, this edge keeps calling us more and more. Very often what remains after awakening is the hankering back to that state where there is no thought, or there is no pain, or there is no difficulty, or there is no feeling that we don't like. That's when we can become more willing, more humble, in the sense of noticing where there is any thread of desire to hold on to a state. That's where the journey of surrender can begin. That's where the journey of surrender can become more refined. Very often this idea that after awakening we don't have to do anything, it all happens by itself. Becomes an excuse for laziness, becomes an excuse for remaining in the comfort zone. The comfort zone being the space where nothing much happens. the space in which thoughts and feelings have subsided. That becomes the new comfort zone. Whereas previously our comfort zone, even though it may not have been so comfortable, was the world of story making, habitual, conditioned thinking, habitual suppression of feeling, avoidance. That's a kind of comfort zone. We get used to that and we believe ourselves to be that. In awakening, there's a new comfort zone. The comfort zone is freedom from that. But then there's another part to the journey. We continue to live, we continue to be in bodies, we continue to be in relationship. We continue to be pulled into the world. We may feel a new rising up that calls us into a new doing, a new offering. And then once more we are engaged with form. And that's when a subtle hankering after the unbounded state of emptiness, of stillness, of spaciousness may sneak in and start to pull us away through the imagination from what is truly here. What is truly here in our experience is what invites us to soften, to meet our experience with tenderness, to finally release the mind's agenda to fix or change anything. This is not something we need to apply egoic will to, but we do need to bring willingness to. The invitation to tenderness, the invitation to softness, the invitation to openness, over and over again, is the forging of the embodiment of awakening. So that all ideas of what awakening is, all ideas of I have awakened, all ideas of trying to hold on to anything and live in some elevated, untouchable state, all of those get destroyed in the fire of tenderness. Because tenderness is not weak. Tenderness is our true strength. So whichever side of the imaginary fence you may be in, before awakening or after awakening, it's an imaginary fence. because you're always here anyway. You can't be anywhere else. But whichever side of this imaginary fence you're on, the job is the same. The invitation is the same. To stop looking for something, for some state of consciousness. That scrubs out your humanity. That replaces the specialness of the victim self, the specialness of the wounded self, with the specialness of the awakened self. The job on either side of the imaginary fence is the same. To surrender all notions of specialness. And to simply meet with tenderness what is here. If there is devastation, if there is regret, if there is melancholy, if there is abandonment or loss or rejection, all of it is here. To invite you into a deepening of that which is more true and more real, more present, more close, more intimate than anything you can imagine with the mind. When everything is met in this sweet intimacy, without any attempt to recoil from it or reject it, without any attempt to change it or fix it, control it, suppress it, then everything that appears in your experience is experienced as made of the same substance. What may appear as dark or light, pain or bliss, is all made of the same stuff. And in that, whatever appears is given the opportunity to return to source. Whatever it is, if it may appear as loss or failure or regret or sadness, that which appears as a thing, a particular emotion, a specific feeling, and they all seem like separate things according to what we label them and according to what we name them. They all become one thing. no thing. No thing, because everything dissolves into no thing. All form dissolves into formlessness, not because you have transcended form, but because you are willing to meet all form. Because all form is a manifestation of the One. All form is a manifestation of the totality. All form is a manifestation of God. And you and that are not separate. After awakening, more refinement of that inseparability is called for, so that we deepen, so that it deepens. So then what we are free of is not pain or the human experience. We're free of our attempt or need or desire or longing to change anything. I'm not talking about external change of circumstances. I'm talking about changing our inner state. When we stop trying to change our inner state, there's a deep relaxation. And in that deep relaxation, we are no longer the controller of life. We are no longer the controller of our experience. And life flows into us according to divine rhythm, according to divine geometry. When I say divine, I don't mean there's some higher power orchestrating the whole show. I mean a natural intelligence.